Oh, hey, look, guys, it's Alice. Hey, Alice. How you doing?
Hi, Alice.
Hi,
Alice,
Alice.
Hi. Hi, Alice.
you remember Scufflemus and Neef, obviously, household names. And today we have a very special guest. Joining us is Wes Murdock. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome to the Tea Party. So, Alice, Wes just actually dropped a new single, How Am I Supposed to Change? And you can listen to it on Apple Music and Spotify right now. I mean, after you listen to this interview, of course.
Yeah, that comes first.
Right.
So we're having a tea party, so I'm gonna crack open a cold one with you guys.
Cheers.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not a very good host. I didn't bring any tea.
Well, this is what's left over from the weekend, so I gotta finish them off now. So I don't want to have them in the middle of the week.
You know.
Yeah. I've been looking at those masks behind you. Are those from Demon Slayer?
Well, not necessarily. They're Kitsune masks.
Okay.
I've got a red and a black one. I just bought them on eBay. They were like $2 a pop.
Those are
and I just thought they were super cool. I mean, so I had a nickname growing up. People used to call me Tails when I was a kid. And because like right around the time Sega Dreamcast first came out, it was like super impressive back in the day, one of the best gaming consoles of all time. And we would play Sonic and Tails at my buddy's house. And I would like mimic what they're saying on the game. And I just sounded exactly like Tails. And there was like another Wes around. So they kind of held on to that for a while. So I always kind of had an affinity for like foxes and stuff like that. And the Kitsune is like a mystical creature in Japanese lore where they live for like thousands of years. And every thousands of years that they live, they get another tail. So I think they can live up to like 9,000 years or something like that. And they're supposed to be real sly and cunning, and I just thought they were really cool. So yeah, I've got those up there. Next thing, I keep my keys and stuff. You can see there's my little shrine where I keep my keys and a couple books and stuff like that because I live in a tiny apartment. So
well, now you've got my interest peaked. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
All right.
What you got going on back there behind you?
Just a couple of knickknacks, some random stuff like my keys and wallet, sunglasses go right here. But I got some books. I got Carl Sagan, some Ayn Rand, and Lord of the Rings. It's just some random stuff. I mean, nothing serious. I got quantum physics. Like I don't ever fucking read that, but of course I got a Bible. That's never been opened. I'm pretty sure there's like a spider will crawl out of there or something.
You gotta have bookends,
I like
this right here. I found this at Goodwill. This is just a badass Star Wars mug, but the fucking handle broke off. So and I got a Darth Vader over here and some Buddhas because I'm obsessed with Buddha. Sorry, not a Buddhist, but I've always been. I always thought Buddha was cool, so that's why I have a Buddha tattoo.
Nice.
And
I didn't mean to pry too much. I just it looked nice, and I wanted to see your
No, I'm glad because I love talking about it. There's actually a couple other random things. So like I got a spoon here that's for Aztec soup only. So if you ever go to the Mexican restaurant, whatever you don't ask them for the Aztec soup, don't do it.
Okay.
You will regret it.
All right.
Steer clear of the Aztec soup.
Yeah, don't get. There's the secret ingredient to Aztec soup is scarabs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So don't. I don't know if you've ever had a scarab before, but they don't taste very good.
No.
I'll pass.
I tend to stay from the insect.
Yeah.
Scufflemus, do you eat bugs?
Bugs? Oh yeah. I love crickets. Have you ever had crickets that are fried? They're basically like popcorn, but
I've had crawdads before.
Well, crawdads are they're crustaceans.
Those are like shrimp. Right. Those are shrimp.
Yeah, it's a like a little tiny lobster or crab or something.
Yeah, those are actually really good.
Yeah.
Well, see, if they're actually related to lobsters, which I believe they are, then they would actually also be related to cockroaches.
See.
I've eaten bugs, but not intentionally. Like not on purpose. Like I'm pretty sure like I've eaten ants on food or like
I read
you know,
somewhere that we all eat like so many spiders in our lifetime.
apparently spiders crawl inside your body at night somehow through some hole or orifice.
Your reaction if something crawls in your mouth at night is going to be to eat it.
Just go ahead and eat it.
You're just going to chomp it.
Yeah.
It never knew what happened. It's like the cave in Star Wars that they land on with the big chompy worm thing that comes out after them.
Oh yeah.
Except the spider didn't make it.
That's right.
I almost always have something crawling out of me.
You're a home.
I mean,
Penny.
such the life,
No.
man.
Yo, I'm a biodome of my own.
You know, Scufflemouse
Wow,
has
Scufflemouse.
caretakers, but Scufflemouse is also a caretaker.
That sounds like the name of a solo album. Biodome of My Own.
Mhm.
Yeah,
What does that
biodome
needs to
of
be
my
my
own.
next album.
Bars.
Biodome of my own.
All right,
Bars.
there you go.
That's sick, dude.
I'm putting you on the books for that one, Scuffles.
Okay,
I mean-
you can produce it.
Right.
I have you on the books for that.
Awesome.
I mean, you are definitely a creative genius, so I wouldn't really expect anything less.
I wouldn't say genius, because that puts me on the level of Albert Einstein, and I don't know what E equals MC squared even
What kind of
means.
bars did Albert Einstein drop? I ain't seen him drop anything in a while.
You know.
Well,
I mean,
that's
he's got
because
his-
Elon Musk took everything over. So, they just compare everyone to Elon Musk, but he's
I mean,
not really a genius.
Einstein's got his greatest hits and everything, but yeah, he doesn't have any fresh drops coming out these days. So,
I mean, where's he at? Come on, Einstein. Where's the hustle?
he did.
He's dead.
Oh,
He
yeah.
did.
Oh,
He
yeah.
just died.
You enter the world of classics at some point, and you're just reference material.
And how long are we going to let artists use excuses like death to not let out the next album? That's their obligation to me as a fan.
Well,
I
I
mean-
mean, why do you think Elvis died? He died to sell more records. Because he
What a
wanted to be
sellout.
posthumous. No. Elvis did die recently, but he was around for a long time. That dude was kicking it for a long time.
I mean, he had one too many peanut butter sandwiches, so
Mm.
that'll do it to you.
And banana sandwiches.
Banana, yeah, peanut butter banana
Well,
sandwich.
let's just hope that it wasn't really that hard. That did he mean? Hey, there's that cat.
We've been blessed.
Cat.
We've been blessed.
Yeah, here's my
Racing
fur
to
ball.
the
Everybody, so this is how you really get views. You gotta get a little
Yes.
kitty count. So this is
Yeah.
Victoria.
Thumbnail.
Oh, she's gonna get don't get caught in my headphones. But yeah, so that's the this is Queen Victoria of Helm's Deep.
Queen Victoria.
Yeah,
Nice.
Queen Victoria of Helm's Deep. Thank you for
yeah, gracing
gracing
the
us with your
presence.
presence.
Look
Yeah,
what I
she,
have.
She's
I have one
yes,
too. Yo,
Yes.
he was asleep. I woke him up.
Oh, well.
nice.
Oh.
Yo, I wanted to be a part of the conversation.
Wow.
And
I
he
mean,
just so
like,
happened to be sleeping there.
Cats sleep what, like 20 hours a day? So
Yo, pretty much.
yeah, something like that. Yeah. But what a life, right?
Right.
Yeah. For sure.
Living the dream.
I'm all about I'm glad and impressed that you gave your cat a human name because I'm all about that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when you I mean, it's Victoria can kind of go either way because everyone I know wants to call her Vicky. And I'm like, that's not her name. Like you say, it's like you say the whole, it's like a Tribe Called Quest. You say the whole thing.
Right.
You know,
You wouldn't have
I mean?
given
It's
it a
Victoria.
fucking fancy name if you wanted people to make a shorthand of it.
I know. I mean, I already have like a million stupid nicknames for the cat, and it's like, but the name is Victoria. It's Victoria, but
Yeah.
nobody wants to actually call her that. But I mean, I don't even really call her that. So I'm not like, hey,
Can't really
Victoria,
enforce it. Yeah.
but but it's funny when you meet someone who like has a dog or a cat named like Paul, or like
That was the name of my late cat who just passed.
Paul.
Yeah, he was actually, his name was Paul Gray. He was named after Slipknot's.
That's cool. That's super cool.
And
But it's like, what if you named your dog just like John? Like, this is John. Taking John for a walk.
I decided
so-
that any more cats that I get are going to not only have human names, they're going to be 3 names. Probably after famous people. I want to name,
Cool.
Jean-Luc Ponty or something,
Right.
after famous musicians and actors. And
Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That
So
would be cool.
back to how am I supposed to change?
Right.
Is this so like compared to like previous things I've seen you do, this is an interesting direction. Like seems like you're branching out of places you've been before artistically.
A little bit.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't mean like it's a whole new genre or anything.
Sure, right. Yeah. But I mean, it was definitely a completely different approach from any other thing, any other project or band or production wise. The song, writing the song was just like it was on any other
That's
song
one of
or
the
any.
things that I could really tell the difference in, because I was much more familiar with earlier, some of your former projects.
Mm-hmm.
And like I picked up a lot, and I don't like to throw band comparisons
Right.
modern, but in the genre of punk, it's almost impossible to,
Oh
you
yeah,
fall somewhere. And you
for
guys
sure.
really had what the sound you guys had in when you were doing Antifunnate, you had such it almost reminded me a little bit of Agent Orange and a little bit of
Cool.
Descendants, stuff like that. It
Oh
was
yeah.
more, or All. I don't know if you remember All when.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
That kind of more positive, I guess, upbeat kind of sound. And
Yeah.
not, and it was a little more that. And with what you're doing now and I guess, your solo stuff, I understand what you're saying. Your production is definitely, it is a step in a different direction of production, but I could still hear vocally and in the writing what you're doing. It's still, you still got that very, it's still that same kind of, I guess, an aim, your aim that you're going for is you're still hitting the same crowd, I guess, except it's for sure. It's the crowd now, they're hearing this kind of production rather than what we were hearing when we were coming up. So,
well, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me.
All right.
So with that song in particular, it came together in a weird way because I was toying around with the lyric idea of like, I had a friend who passed away a couple years ago from an overdose, who was one of the greatest guitar players I'd ever seen in my life. Like, he was one of the best songwriters, one of the best performers. I mean, he was just on this level, but he had a lot of mental health issues, a lot of social anxiety and things like that. And he ended up passing away a couple years ago. After he went to treatment, he actually went to treatment. It was really sad. And it hit me really hard. But his thing was like, he loved sunsets. Like, he was one of those guys, like, you'd be scrolling through Instagram and he would post just like this cotton candy, pink, purple, and blue, just like a vaporwave kind of sunset. And he loved surfing and just was always in love with somebody. And just, he was such a romantic person that it was, I always strive to be a lot like him. He was in a band called Plaster, which was one of the first punk bands I had ever seen in my entire life. And they were like a Middle Tennessee kind of like legend in a weird way, because they were the suburban kids that grew up and moved out west to California to like, go live the dream and just surf and play shows all the time. And, the band ended up breaking up, and he came back and was in a few other different projects. He toured with the Pink Spiders for a while. But like, so Plaster and his guitar playing had such a long, profound, just influence in my life, and just seeing him turn into who he was like, I was always trying to be like him. I was trying to go that West Coast skate punk, pop punk, almost No Effects, Rancid, Blink, Green Day kind of sound. But they were just the best. And so when he passed away, I kept saying to myself, like, I'll never be able to look at the sunset in the same way. Like, I'll never be able to like look at the sky and not think about him. And like in the summertime, like I always throw his songs on when I'm in the car. And I mean, it's just a really beautiful thing. So that was the idea for where the song title came from, because he was always battling his demons, and everybody was always telling him to, you have to sober up. You have to quit drinking. You have to quit, living like this Kurt Cobain style lifestyle. And it was really hard when he passed away. And that's just kind of the idea where the verse came, not the verse, but the chorus came from, and the imagery behind it. That's why there's like a sunset on the artwork, and in the lyric video that we're going to post in a few weeks. I mean, it's just the same thing. It's just a sunset, some waves, and, you know, the lyrics on the screen. But yeah, so that's kind of how that came up, and the idea of the song. And my buddy, Charlton Moore, who he's the one that's been producing my music lately. I've been working with him for over about almost 2 years now. And we have a whole album done. Like, the album's done. We're just putting songs out just sporadically. I mean, it's times, but, you know, I feel like now it's really hard to, I mean, with people's attention spans being so short, you know, I don't want to drop 12 songs on everybody and be like, oh, did you listen to this one 15-second part in this one song? People are like, no.
That's a really smart way to do it.
Well, that's what it's, you know, things are constantly changing and evolving. I mean, you know, guys like us who love music, of course, we're going to have a different perspective. Like, we want to hear a whole album. We want to hear a conceptual piece from a band that we love so much or whatever. But just, that's not how Spotify works. Most people have like the free version, you know, you can only listen to so many songs without them like shoving some shitty product in your face. You know,
that's the world of production versus the world of songwriting, for
sure. So the music itself is just, usually I'll be just writing riffs together, and I'll be like, okay, that sounds kind of cool. And there was actually 2 or 3 other parts to the song that we scrapped. We just cut out because they just wasn't working or whatever. And it really only ended up being just one chord progression pretty much to the whole thing. And I thought that was kind of weird, but it worked somehow.
One of the best things I ever got told about writing songs was that, you know, if you listen to some of your favorite classics, you'll find out that they're really like 2, maybe 3 chords.
Yeah.
Production change, you know, I mean, think of
for sure
Feeling All Right, you know, by Traffic, that Joe Cocker made real famous, you know. That's the entire song, change and all, is the same 2 chords.
Yeah,
the whole thing. But I mean, you play that in any place and you have the whole place jumping.
What do they say about country music, where it's like 3 chords and the truth, or something like that? Yeah. And that's how you know, most country songs come out, or whatever. But yeah, so
that's really deep, man. I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh, it's all right. I mean,
it's really cool that I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just gonna say,
oh, no problem.
Well, it's really cool that you made a memorial in this way, though.
Yeah, I wanted it to kind of like, it is tough because it is so coming from my perspective, but I really wanted other people to kind of relate to it. You know, I wanted it to be like just like a kind of happy but also kind of melancholy kind of song, but I really wanted it just to be like a summer song, you know. And I wanted to, but even though it's like the lyrics are actually kind of pretty dark, but it's like I wanted it to still have that kind of upbeat,
it definitely has,
you know, that fun, that kind of fun sound. And my buddy was the one that kind of pushed me in the direction of using like the trap beat or whatever in it. Because at first I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like that, if other people are gonna like that, but I was like, you know, fuck it, dude, it works to the song, it sounds cool. And my friend's an amazing producer, and I just kind of went with his gut on it. And I think, and you'll hear that in some other songs that we have coming out later, I figured out a really good way to mix the 2, so it doesn't sound so alienating to like, you know, it's not like a pop song you hear where it's just like total fakeness the whole time. I wanted to mix like a live drum feel with like a little bit of a hip hop vibe in there, and it was a lot of fun, dude. I just had so much fun with it. I was like, dude, this sounds awesome. Let's just go with it.
Just vibing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it was. I mean, we did the music in an afternoon. We had to come back and touch up a few things, and the lyrics I pretty much wrote them on the spot. Like, it was weird because it was like I knew what I wanted to write the song about, but normally I'll take weeks or months just working on lyrics and like, is this word work? I mean, does this word not work? And, you know, sitting there, you practice it live, and that's how I did it before. And this time I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna say whatever comes to my head, like right then and there. And, you know, we tried a few different things in the studio, but we spent one night, I mean, after we did all the music, we were up to like 2, 3 in the morning just doing the vocals. And I think I had to come back and I had to like redo one part because I didn't like the take or whatever on like a verse or two. And then we started adding layers. And dude, it was just such a fun thing that I was like, you know what, whatever it is what it's gonna be. And I think it turned out great.
That's how your best stuff always comes out, I think, because when it just happens.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about making things happen, because a lot of people think that it only happens if it's that magic combination at the magic time. But
catching lightning in a bottle.
Yeah. But there is a way,
as
a producer engineer, you got to be able to build a lightning rod.
Yeah.
And reach up and grab the fucking lightning,
Right.
And that's what I think is good. And I hear that coming across because it sounds like, it's a natural flow. And that's the main thing with production. You got to find somebody that, that's why, like I talk about with different types of people playing on different records. If I call up one guitar player, it doesn't necessarily mean I think that's the best guitar player I know, because I couldn't say the best guitar player I know. A lot of times I'll say that, oh, dude, this guy's the best bass player I've ever.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And that's just a compliment. That's not really saying
right.
This is the tier of playing, and I would only ever use this person if because you get different flavor, you get different vibe.
Yeah.
Same way with production,
that's actually, it's funny you say that, because that's something that my producer Charlton said when I actually started working with him, because I've known the guy for years and we've been friends for a really long time, and he's one of those guys that can play like every instrument, and he'd done the bands and he'd done everything else, but he wanted to focus more on producing and getting the best out of someone else. So when I hit him up, I was like, dude, I see you, like, you're constantly posting like studio stuff, like I want to get involved, basically. He started a publishing company called Tonal Autonomy, and pretty much he just draws from all his friends that all the people that he knows that's making music. He tracks them and he wants to get the best out of them. And what he said to me, he goes, out of all the guitar players I know, he goes, no one plays your style like that I'm recording, like the punk, the hardcore, that the like the kind of pop punk or whatever you want to call it. He goes, I don't know anyone who plays the guitar the way you do, and so you got to come over because I need to capture your style, like your outlet. And man, and it took a couple months for us to kind of get in the groove of things and kind of figure out how each other work. But it was like so freeing to be able to either do something right then and there that I wanted to try, not having a plan, going in and not having a plan, and then having a song like How Am I Supposed to Change come out, or bringing back a song that I've been meaning to record for other bands, other projects. And then like finally getting that out was like, dude, now I can bring from both worlds and like really work on the songs that I've been cultivating for years that I haven't been able to put into a project or a band. Or I could just come up, if I'm just feeling creative, we could just go in there and bounce ideas off each other. And sometimes it works, sometimes, it doesn't. We started a song last night, and I had no plan. I said, I don't even want to like think about what we're going to do. He got some plugin that's like a multi-harmonizer for the guitar. And it was like, so you get like 5 harmonies going from just one note. And I just started riffing on that and playing this lead stuff. And we built an entire song around one lead part. And whether it works or not, we'll find out.
Creepy as fuck.
It was weird. It was definitely weird. I was like,
are you a Frank Zappa fan?
I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but I do appreciate him.
Right.
But I don't like listen to his music and be like, right. All right. You know what I mean? But I've definitely watched like interviews of him, and dude's a brilliant guy. And some of his takes on the music industry back then, like I really do appreciate. And of course, his humor.
When you bring up harmonizer, and as far as Zappa goes, you can be a Zappa fan of his music. You can be a Zappa fan of his politics, if you will. And you can also, like I mostly am, I'm just a Zappa fan of his guitar playing.
Yeah, I mean, he's
his music,
wicked guitar player.
But when you bring up the harmonizer, he had a thing about using that, and you get a lot of some of his his classic hits, or his classic guitar tones are done with a harmonizer like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird. I mean, it's definitely weird. So we'll see. We'll see if anything will come out of that. I don't know. I'm still trying to process it. I listened to the track he sent me today, a little mix down of it, and I was like, this is weird as fuck, dude. I was like, I don't even know. It's like there's 3 parts in the song, and they're all great parts. I just don't know. I was like, I don't even know if these all work together. He's like, that's the beauty of it. He was like, it's so like just abrupt. These changes are so abrupt that like, you know, it's not what somebody would expect to hear from out of you or me or anything else. I was like, all right, so we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
the next thing I was gonna ask you, did you grow up around here or?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I lived in Tennessee my entire life.
Gotcha.
I was born in Memphis.
Okay.
December 1987, and my family, and that's where most of my immediate family was from. Both my mom and my dad's parents were both they both lived in Memphis for most of their lives, I think. And then I moved to around Nashville area when I was about 4 or 5. So like early 90s, my family moved to Middle Tennessee, and I've been living pretty much in and around Nashville ever since. So I don't even really consider Memphis like my hometown. Nashville's my home. Like I love Nashville. I love Middle Tennessee. I just love Tennessee in general. Like I've been to probably 30 something states. I've never been to the whole United States, but I've been to like so many different places, and I like them all, but Tennessee just feels like home to me. It's so beautiful here. People are awesome. And it's just like, I can't really honestly see myself living anywhere else.
Yeah.
So,
I got a similar story, right? I was born and raised in Fayetteville, and I stayed there until I was 18 and moved out. And then I bounced around in different towns in Tennessee until I eventually settled in Nashville.
Oh yeah.
How early on were you? What's the earliest, I guess you probably go by clubs, earliest time era of the underground punk scene that you came into? I'm trying to think. Were you around for Lucy's?
That Lucy's was a little bit before my time. Like I think Lucy's, and I think a club called like 328.
328. Well, 328. Yeah, 328's performance hall. That really, it was a venue that was actually an actual venue, and they did more than just underground, but they did a lot of underground shows, and that was one of my
right.
favorites. Yeah.
Sorry, I just had a phone call in there, and I knew that something I knew that something like that was going to happen to this thing, but
right.
So I had to decline a call real fast. But so like I think like the first Rocket Town. Okay. And like 328 and Lucy's, I think was a little bit. I had to have been in like the 2nd or 3rd grade, dude. At that
okay, point. Yeah, when you're saying your age about your birthday, I was trying to think. I'm like, well,
right. So, well, so bringing it back to what I was saying earlier about my friend Jeremy, who's the guitar player I was telling you about. My first introduction to punk rock was like just from TV and radio. I mean, I think like most people, like when I was in 3rd grade, I think like watching like Green Day on MTV and growing up, I liked everything that just whatever was on the radio is like what I listened to, and I liked, everything from like LL Cool J, Coolio, I loved like Will Smith growing up, like his music.
Get on the flow.
Yeah, and like Weird Al. Like I grew up listening to like Weird Al and shit. But it was when I met this kid in the 3rd grade who showed up, and like no joke, this is for real. This kid shows up in the 3rd grade and he's wearing like a Rancid t-shirt, and like his hair's all spiked up, and like he's got like wallet chains, and this kid's in the 3rd fucking grade. And I was like, fuck this kid. Like it was like the first thing I was like, look at this like attention whore. and then like I went up to him and I just started talking to him, and we became friends like immediately. And we talked about like music and stuff like that, because like as far as I knew, Green Day was the most hardcore thing in the world, as any 3rd grader could imagine. And I ended up going over to his house, and his older brother played guitar. They were about 15, maybe like 15, 16, or somewhere in that age, and they had a band called Plaster, and that's when I actually the first time I ever saw live punk rock music was that band in their basement growing up, and I was like, that's what I want to do. I was like, I was like, I want to play guitar and I want to jump around and just like have fun. And that's pretty much how I got into music. And my older brother, who also is a guitar player, he loved metal. Like his thing was, you know, Korn, Limp Bizkit, Tool. And like, so he was really into that and always made fun of me for being into like, you know, pussy pop punk music, you know, and, you know, he would come in my room and break my CDs and, you know, and stuff like that. But it was cool though. I mean, you know how kids are or whatever, but yeah, so that was my first introduction to punk rock music and I've loved it ever since.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, you said so you said you got an older brother. How much older is he than you?
Only by like 4 years. So he's
did he play any local metal bands?
He never did. No, he was too antisocial to be in a band. I think he tried doing bands and stuff like that, but you know, he just couldn't ever. It just wasn't for him. The social thing was not a little too much for him, but I was more the, you know, like people person. Right. I could bring people in a room and start jamming, and plus, you know, the music he was trying to play.
I'm pretty certain I remember Plaster.
Yeah. They were one of my favorites, and you can actually find one of their albums. One of their albums is on Spotify. It's called Punk Rock Love Story, and I definitely recommend checking it out, especially while it's still summertime, because it's like perfect summertime album. I mean, it's just like you just want to go to the pool or like go skate or like, you know what I mean, and just have a beer with your friends. That's what it makes me want to do.
Party
yeah,
time.
So yeah, I love that shit, man.
Feel good music. Yeah.
Right.
Well, they were like a mix between like they very much wanted to be kind of like a Rancid meets like almost like a Screeching Weasel, because they were a little more on the pop punk side, but they would bust into like this like reggae dub shit. And not like ska punk where it's like real fast. It was like straight up dub. Like they would just like drop it, and like the bass player was so fucking just dope at just playing these like sick fucking walking bass lines.
Nice.
And they would go straight up like stoner dub, dude. And so that's what actually got me into stuff like King Tubby and you know, like dub stuff like that, Bad Brains and shit like that. And so like I love dub. Yeah, I love like dub and shit like that. But Peter Tosh, and you know, of course everyone wants to bring up like Bob. Yeah, I love that Pablo. Shit. Yeah, so I mean Augustus Pablo is amazing. So like they introduced me to a lot of stuff like that, and from there it just kind of branched out.
Nice. You got a well-rounded like history with music.
Yeah. So like I mean, I've always been into punk rock, but I love all kinds of music too. Like I love hardcore, old school hardcore, and like I love metal, lots of metal. I mean, I can listen to it from time to time, but not like all the time, if that makes sense. Sometimes I love getting down like hip hop music. And
I was just about to ask you if you listen to any hip hop.
Yeah, I definitely do. I really like a lot of some of the new Weeknd stuff. I've been listening to some of his stuff lately, and just to change things up. And now that I'm on the spot, I can't think of anybody on the spot. But I mean, like, dude, I love
Weeknd's great.
Weeknd's really good. Of course, I mean, I'm old school. I really like old school Outkast and
fuck yeah,
shit like that. One of my friends actually used to fuck with this rapper that was in this project called G-Side from Huntsville, and his name was ST2 Lettuce. And if you can look his shit up, dude, his shit is fucking fire. And he's like real underground. I think his name, his real name is Steven or Stefan maybe. And I think he's like a realtor now. so he like quit the rap game, and now he's like selling houses. He quit selling drugs, now he's selling houses. And I was like, you know, good for you, man. Like made it out of the ghetto. It's awesome.
Hey, but hustle.
But yeah, for sure. I mean, he's a brilliant dude, brilliant guy. And so SC2 Letters is awesome. And yeah, stuff like that. So yeah, so I definitely like more than just, you know, your stereotypical pop punk or whatever.
Gotcha. I'm gonna take a real sharp left turn here and start getting to the meat of things. So I'm gonna hit you with some questions that I just kind of ask everybody.
Okay.
So I'm still trying to figure out the best way to ask this exactly, but I was wondering, do you have any experiences in your past that you would consider supernatural?
I would say yes, but also no at the same time. Because what I would consider supernatural, I think actually may sometimes have more real life implications, and maybe things that, like, you know, we don't quite understand, or
You're right. And I'm struggling to ask this question. So
that's a tough question to articulate.
Let me try and rephrase it just a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you ever had an experience that you can't ration away with logic?
I would say no.
Okay.
I mean, if you're talking like hypothetically or spiritually or anything in that realm, I would say no. Because I feel like things are gonna happen whether you want them to or don't want them to or whatever. And even if something happens that you can't quite explain, that doesn't mean it's unexplainable.
So it kind of
that makes any sense.
Right. It kind of sounds like what you're saying is, even if someone else might consider this experience supernatural, you wouldn't consider it that, because there is an explanation for it.
Now, yeah, I mean, to answer the question, yes, but to say that things like that haven't happened to maybe other people, and do I believe in the supernatural? Absolutely. But I've never had anything like ghost stories or anything like that. I'm sorry, another phone call. You still there?
Yeah, we're here. Busy man.
Yes. Yeah, so it's the same guy. Why aren't you picking up your phone? I turned off my text messages, so he's probably texting me like 100 times. But like, but no, I wouldn't say that nothing's happened to me that I can't that I will say that I couldn't explain, if that makes sense. No, but that's great. That's a great question though. And now I'm going to be thinking. Also, I'm going to be thinking about that more and more now. I'm going to be like, well, maybe something did happen. I just like don't know. I don't know.
Well, we can always revisit this next time.
Yeah, but that's a great question.
I guess my next question. Okay, and I have to preface this question because it's also a confusing one. No one on this planet knows what happens after death, but many people have preconceptions or ideas about what might happen. Do you have any inclinations or ideas about what might happen after we die?
Well, your body decays.
Good answer.
For sure. Your physical body decays. And, it's, if you had asked me that question 5 years ago, I probably would have given you a completely different answer from what I'm going to give you now. But I do think that in some ways, whether, like you said, we don't know, no one really knows exactly. People claim to know, many
claim to know and mislead others, but it's just the blind leading the blind, and no one knows any more about this subject than anyone else.
Right. But if you look at it that in the terms of speculation or even the terms of faith, I think that's kind of, I mean, it's a paradox for sure, because it's like, you can't remember, well, what was it like before you were born? You know what I mean? It's like, well, I don't know. I can't think of it. I can't place it. Some people have claimed that they actually have lived multiple lives and have had, out of body experiences and things like that. But I personally, I will never know until I do die. But I do believe that there is somewhat of an afterlife or some kind of something else to what we have now. Maybe it's similar, maybe it's totally different, but your energy itself, even though your body's dead, there is energy that goes back out into the universe from which we came. So in a way, it may be just like a never-ending loop, whether or not, you are. And I'm not a proponent of reincarnation or anything, because I actually don't think that is somewhat of a plausible, not in the human sense. Like nature kind of does that. I mean, nature repopulates itself and has, multiple different trees grow up and have different seeds. And if you have children, part of you is still in the earth after you die. You know, your lineage, your genealogy, and even sometimes your own experiences live on through other people.
Mm-hmm.
So so there's a few different ways to look at that, and I think that's an interesting thing to think about, no matter who you are or what you believe.
Yeah. And yeah, and I like you brought out, no one knows, but I think these intuitions and kind of these feelings we get about what might happen, I think are important. So I just like to ask everyone what their inclination is about
I think you're right I think that it's very important, and I think it's more important now more than ever to ask yourself these questions and question your own beliefs, your own belief system. Because I'm constantly doing that to myself, and you know, there's things that when I was 25, I completely disagree with now than what I thought I did when I was that age. And I'm sure, you know, the 25-year-old me would talk to me now and be like, "What's this fucking square talking about?" You know, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, it's good to constantly be thinking about that kind of stuff and asking yourself these questions. You know, so I think that's what's really cool about what you're doing and what y'all are doing, because it's like I went back and listened to a couple of the other episodes to kind of get an idea of what it's going to be like, and it was just interesting. You know, I was like, you know, this is cool, laid back, and you know, it's probably what we'd be talking about if we were just hanging out. You know,
Absolutely.
Anyway, so it's like I thought that was really cool, man.
That's kind of how this got started, Wes. This is what I was doing on the weekends, just talking about the origins of the universe with my friends and you know, general stoner shit. So
you could you could waste a lot of time on these subjects, but they're great conversations, and it definitely needs to be had.
Right. And I think I don't say this with any kind of delusions of grandeur, but I think these kind of conversations are really important. And in my own small part, I want to make these kind of conversations more public and make other people feel free to have these kind of civil debates, because everyone wants to yell. You know, everyone wants to yell, and it's like we need to find common ground and just communicate, because we're all human and we're all in this together.
I like the idea of having
we're all human and a troll.
Well, yes,
right, except for
there's still a
troll.
forest troll here.
Yeah,
that's right. That's really cool, man. Yeah, and good to see you again, Scuffle Moss, man. I haven't seen you since the last time I saw Wooden play, which is a fucking experience like I've never experienced my entire life. It was amazing.
That was the last time I saw Wooden play too.
Really? Yeah, I know. I mean, time flies, man. But I mean, that was a really, really good time. So
yeah, it really was. That night was actually one of my favorite performances, because we actually got to play every single song that we knew. So we played all 13 songs in our catalog.
That was amazing.
The house was packed.
It was a packed house.
They were having a great time. That's really what mattered to me.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun for sure, man. And that was actually the night that you announced your run for president, your presidency, and he had a really, really eloquent speech written out, and I actually have it. I have the speech. It's on my refrigerator.
Oh my God.
And
Nice.
yeah, I found it, and I was like, well, I'm fucking keeping this. It's like, you know, when you go see a band play and you find the set list, you're like, I'm keeping this.
That is a holy artifact, a relic, if you might.
So I have that next to my 2 stimulus checks on my
No, I actually like giving people the stuff like that. Like, it's nice for those things to be floating around out there.
Yeah.
And for people that actually appreciate where it came from, it's really, it's a great thing to have.
Well, that was such a fun night. I mean, with all the bands that played, but for Anti-Fun and Wooden, I mean, sharing the stage was like just total epic, man. I mean, it was completely epic. So I wanted to keep that for sure. And yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's right there. So it's pretty awesome. So yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Very cool for sure.
My other big question, big universe question.
Okay.
Is kind of the opposite of the last one. Where do you think we came from? And I'm not talking about like before you were born, but like I guess human beings on Earth.
That's a good one, man. And it's, you know, I think nowadays you can have thoughts on evolution and still be like still have a religious view, or
Absolutely.
and you know
Absolutely.
and I also think, you know, if you have a completely secular view, I don't see how they can't coexist in the same way. So I don't know. I think a lot of times people get caught up in their specific dogma, whether it's Christianity or Islam or like whatever, about the origins of people, because for a really long time, and I was a staunch atheist for like 15 years. I'm just throwing that out there. For like a big chunk of my life, I was like one of those hardcore, like super annoying atheists that just wanted to just constantly argue with people and just try and make people feel bad for what they believe. And it really took me a long time to get out of that. And it actually, having those views actually led me to end up believing more in God than ever before, in a weird way. So I do think people are here for a reason. What that reason is I don't know. I mean, whether evolution, I mean, of course, things evolve in our life every day. So you can't say that there's no form of evolution. And people, in my opinion, people are actually de-evolving.
Well,
we've actually reached the point of de-evolution. And
Absolutely.
so
Idiocracy was a documentary, not
you know, that's very popular.
Unfortunately.
Which I actually watched. It was free on YouTube right now, and I watched part of that the other day, and I was like, oh man, this is like painful to watch.
That movie hits like, so hard.
Pretty soon there's only gonna be Taco Bells everywhere.
Big ass fries.
For sure. And you know, I love Taco Bell, man. I mean, I get the same thing at Taco Bell every single time that I go there.
Hey, I'm not dogging on Taco Bell. I love it. I don't even care that it makes me get stuck in the bathroom for 15 hours.
You want to know what I get every time I go to Taco Bell?
Yes.
What?
It's diarrhea.
I was gonna I used.
There's your dad joke. There's your dad joke.
When I used to go there, I always got the same thing. It was food poisoning.
Food poisoning. Yeah, that's on their secret menu. So, but I don't know. I would like to believe that people are here for good reasons. I want to believe that humanity does have a good role to play in the universe, because I don't believe we're all alone. I mean, in a universe of infinite possibilities, it'd be really ignorant and naive to say that there's no other forms of life other than us. So, I mean, I know this podcast is big on that, and I definitely appreciate that, because I mean, for a bunch of different reasons, but I don't know. I think that people are here for a reason, and I do think it is for good. But I mean, once I started understanding the level of evil that's in this world, that was the moment that I stopped being an atheist. And I was like, even though I didn't really change a lot of my own personal beliefs or perspectives, that was when I wanted to believe that there was more than just living and dying. And I wanted to believe that our actions do mean something for forever. I mean, I do want to believe that people's good intentions are, doing something.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you, man. And I think part of the problem with this conversation, not our conversation, but this conversation in general,
right? The conversation at hand,
is people I don't think have a good understanding of what belief in God means. I think people think belief in God has to mean this sky daddy, watching over us.
Religion, faith, or
but
spirituality, things.
I know religious scholars that like went to school for this kind of shit, like for religious history, and it's really sad, like when you understand a little bit about the history, because like ancient Jews didn't take these stories literally. They understood that they were parables. And it's only in the last couple thousand years that people, specifically Christians, are looking at these stories and taking them literally, like they actually happened. And
Well, I feel
that's
like
a gross misunderstanding.
You could say that. I mean, you could say that same thing. I think with a lot of Muslims or Islam, maybe, because I had a friend growing up who was like, I mean, he was big into Islam, and he's actually like a youth counselor or pastor or whatever. And I mean, we were kids growing up just playing basketball in the cul-de-sac, and when I actually became like that person I was telling you about, when I was a really hardcore militant atheist, like we would just butt heads constantly, because I would be like, he would be saying, I would be like, yeah, I'm with you, because like, fuck Christianity. You know what I mean? I was like, and he was just like, well, no, like you don't want to think like that and everything. And we would kind of like butt heads when I would say like, I don't believe that people just appeared on the earth. Like I think it took a long time for people to become people. And he was like, well, I do believe that people just appeared, it was just there one day. And so I totally understand that for sure, because I still don't necessarily believe that, even though I do think that there was some kind of creation event at some point, somehow. I mean, I don't know. I don't know these answers. So I don't, but I do think that that people are here for a good reason. And
I like the way you talk, Wes. You don't overstate yourself. You only say what you know, and you're very careful with your words. I like that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, and none of us do know, and we can talk about these things, and it's healthy to have opinions about it, but we don't know. And yeah.
That's what I like about this podcast, and part of why I like you, Alex, is that this is essentially an opinion zone where you're allowed to express yourself without worry that it's gonna hurt you, because the thing is, we're all allowed to have our own views on things.
Absolutely.
It's important for us to respect that as well as celebrate it. And I really like that about Rhetoric Rabbit Hole because of that exact reason.
And I
agree with that.
Thank you guys. That really means a lot. And I hope people do feel free to like express their opinions, because I mean, you can ask Neef or Alice or Scufflemus. I say a lot of dumb shit on this show, and I make mistakes and like fuck up, but that's part of dialogue. That's part of conversation.
I mean, that's part of being human. And well, that's why I'm trying to be careful with what I say, because I don't want to misconstrued something or say something that I don't even necessarily agree with myself, and it's hard to do that in this day and age where so many people are walking on eggshells, so many people are worried about what someone else may think about them, or or just whatever, however you want to classify it.
And you've been around here long enough that you know how seedy the music industry can be here and how cliquey bands can be. And and that's
very much so.
That's something I take a huge issue with personally. I'm not even in a band, but I see how people get really snooty in Nashville and Murfreesboro area, and they're exclusive.
Yeah,
and
that's something I've had to deal with a lot.
Well, yeah, we've all seen it, I'm sure. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, not at all. But sometimes there'll be certain bands that or a group of friends that will only book each other's bands, or they'll only play at specific venues or whatever. And I mean, I've just come to accept that and just kind of not let it bother me at the end of the day, because like I'm just doing what I feel like I want to do, and people are either gonna like it or not like it, and either way it's fine with me.
Yeah, I mean, I've accepted it to the point that I know it exists, but I'm also here talking shit about them. So
yeah. One thing.
Well, cannot be helped.
One thing that'll always hold true with it is that, professional musicians will always end up playing at professional venues.
Do you want to know what somebody who is a musician that plays music that they don't like?
Say it one more time.
What do you call a musician who plays music that they don't like? That's it. Yeah.
Oh, a professional?
Yeah.
Oh. Nice.
Yeah, but I know what you mean though. But you make a good point though, because it's like, you don't get somewhere by worrying about what someone else is gonna think or do. You just got to do it.
At the end of the day, if you are drawing the crowd, you are selling the door, and the venue that is making the money is going to book you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything else beyond that, it's just like you're saying, y'all saying it's clicky because it's like high school, it's like learning time, it's like college.
Well, it's a scene, there's scenes and stuff like that, but the Muse wasn't really like that, man, because the Muse would be like, there would be like, sometimes you go to a show and there would be like a show happening in the front where some weird performance art shit's going on. Someone's like drawing all over themselves and putting like candle wax on themselves, some weird shit like that, doing some interpretive like, dance and some weird shit. And then you go in the back and there's like a hardcore show and people are punching each other in the head. And then you go upstairs and there was like I remember there was like a pole dancing class for a really long time. That upstairs could have been anything.
Nothing happened upstairs, really.
nothing except for the pole dancing lessons.
Nothing that never actually took off. Nothing. All the ideas.
I actually started the pole dancing classes. I don't know if you knew that.
Well,
I was the one that started that.
Historically speaking, a lot of people claim I had a lot to do with the place, but I think I helped a band or two load in one time. But
yeah, that's very important.
Yeah, I think that's what let me ask you this about the Muse. Do you know what Muse stood for? That's a trivia.
It was Nashville. It was Nashville Underground.
Nashville. MUSE.
No, it was Music Underground. Something entertainment, right? I forget what it was.
That's one of the best ones I've heard. Music Underground something entertainment. That actually
something like that. I mean,
this either.
It's fucked up because I actually think I used to know that answer, but I mean, it's just been so long.
Question we would put up on the nostalgia page. We've got a nostalgia. We got an actual, the Muse page, and then there's a nostalgia page that Leon put up, and that's a little more like the locals that work there and play there, but yeah, that was a question that they had popped up, and I was really cracking up on everybody's guess because a lot of people didn't even know it was an algorithm. It stood for, now write this down, Alice, Mixed Urban Sound Experiment.
Damn.
And that's
wow.
And that's what we really tried to hold true to the name there. That's
fucking blows my mind, man.
Well, we would do everything from a DJ show up front. We did the Radical Fairy parties. We did flesh hangers while metal shows were playing.
I have a story about the flesh hangers. I have a story about, but finish your thing, and I want to tell my flesh hanging story.
Yeah, go ahead, tell.
Well, it was like, I think it might have been like my first, I think I was in like the 9th or 10th grade, and it was one of the first few times I'd actually played at the Muse, and it was like one of those like big ass punk fests that Mike Sims put together. It was I think it was the punk rock party, or what was going to become the punk rock party. Right. But it was like an all day like punk fest, and bands like The Virus and I think like Monster Squad, like a bunch of those really big like Casualty kind of bands were playing, and it was our turn to play. And I think this was even before Murdock. So I think I was barely even in high school, and I get up there with my like Fender Telecaster, like Squire Telecaster, not even a fucking, not even a legit Stratocaster or whatever, and my little combo line 6 amp. When we get up there and we start playing our songs, and they started doing the flesh hangings while we were playing. Like they had this chick.
Did we have the scaffold thing up, or were they in the hooks and the ceiling at that point?
They were in hooks. They had hooks on their back.
Do you remember if there was scaffolding in front of the stage?
I think there might. I barely even remember this. Well, because it was such a fucking blur.
The flesh hangers came through for a couple of months. They were here, and they would go around to different venues, and they had scaffolding they put up. And then they asked the venues if they could put hooks in the ceiling, and nobody would let them except us. We actually let them put hooks in the ceiling because it gave us more floor space without their scaffolding. Nice. Well, so they were hanging from our ceiling by the end of it. So
I think it was the it had to have been the scaffolding because they were like literally on stage with us, and like, so you got like, you got 13-year-old Wes up there, and oh shit, my battery's like gonna die pretty soon. My battery's probably, I may have to plug my phone in here in a second, but so I'm sitting there like playing, and like this chick is like dangling, and I'm just like, this is so disgusting. I was like, this is even like, it reminded me of something like Hellraiser or something. I was just in there, and like she kept like bumping into me, and I'm like trying to play, and I'm like, ew, I'm like grossed out and stuff, and like she's just like dangling, and I was just like, this is when I decided I'm not into this shit. Like, all right, if you want to do that, by all means, but I'm good on the flesh hanging. The flesh hanging, I'm good on. I'm gonna grab my charger real fast. But that was good times though, man. I got some crazy. We all have
awesome
crazy
to have
fucking.
else reminisce with that so detailed.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a weird ass fucking time, but I mean, it was a good time for sure.
Yeah, I probably there's a 95% chance that I was running that show.
Yeah. One time, I don't think it was you, but some other sound guy got me really, really fucking high before a show.
Alice, that absolutely was not me.
Somebody, I don't think
no way that
don't
was
get
me.
children high.
There's
I think
absolutely no way that could have been me.
I think it was somebody different. Because it was later in the Muse lifespan. But we were sitting out back, and it was at a Murdock show. We were opening for some band, and I was just sitting there, like when we were about to go on, I was like drinking a beer, and just like a spliff gets like put in my face, and I was just like, okay. So I was like, hit it, and then like I went cross-eyed, and I was like, shit, I gotta go on fucking stage. And then we told the sound guy to put on all the crazy lights, and we were just super awkward on stage, and like I felt like I was a fucking totem pole just standing there. That's the best way I could describe the feeling. It was a totem pole. And it was not a good show. It was not a good show, but still a good time.
Good memories though.
Yeah, really
Something
good memories.
I really wish I would have been around for the Muse.
Yeah, me too.
The venues around today just aren't like that. They don't sound like places where you could go and see something cool happen. These days it's like a pre-planned show, and you go, and you have to stand there for an hour before it starts.
It was a different
45
time.
minutes of one band, followed by 15 to 20 minutes of changeover, but nothing's happening. I'm bored out of my freaking skull. So, it sounds like a really cool time that the Muse was.
Man, I wish you were there too, because you would have loved it. Like, there was always something weird happening. I mean, even on a chill day, like, there's always some crazy crackheads running around. I mean, the porno shop's right there. I mean, like one night, me and some friends were hanging out. We were at some hardcore show, and we were leaving. Like, we were just walking over to our car, and this drunk chick comes up and starts yelling at us, accusing us of breaking bottles in the parking lot. And normally that probably would have been us anyway, like trying to be punk and like smashing bottles.
Probably that was actually probably one of our volunteered bartenders.
But there was like a shitload of broken bottles out in the parking lot. And we're like, this wasn't us. And she's like, you little fucking, and she called us an F. She called us an F word. I'm not gonna say, but she.
Oh, you've already said that enough on
this. Was it the fuck word?
She called us some little effers, but we're like, we didn't do that. I mean, I was like, I understand why you might think that was us, but it was not us. It was weird, but good times for sure though, man.
Yeah. Well, Wes, it has been a blast. Unfortunately, I'm running out of time here.
Okay.
But I've really
my phone's about to die.
Conversation, man.
Dude, I had a lot of fun, man. I mean, I didn't really know what to expect, but I've had so much fun talking to you guys, and y'all seem like a good, and I really, really do appreciate the philosophical side of things too, because it's a great conversation that needs to continue to be had. And thank you so much for letting me talk about the music and stuff.
And we just barely scratched the surface. So anytime you want to do this again, we'll definitely revisit this.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, we should do that maybe next month, because we were planning on putting out another song, which is more in line with what people would expect. It's more of like a straightforward, punk rock song. Probably early next month, or maybe late at the end of the month. I'm not really quite sure yet, because it's still it's been recorded. It just needs a few more mixing sessions, and then it should be fine. And so maybe when that comes out, we could get back together.
That's what's up, man. Yeah.
We'll have to get you down here. Maybe we can play it for Alice and let her check out.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that would be really dope.
I mean, I'd love to come by the studio and just hang out, over there with you guys. I'd be down for that.
We'll make it happen, man.
Or yeah, I mean, even do like a live set one day. That'd be fun too. So I mean, I'm down for whatever.
Awesome. Cool, Alice, How Am I Supposed to Change is streaming now on Spotify and Apple Music. Go check it out. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, Alice.
Bye, Scope Moss.
Bye.